Alright, it's time for episode 2, intervals. So intervals, as I may have gotten into, I don't remember, are just the names we give the spaces between notes and the relationships between those notes and the harmonic ideas that those two notes create. So our so there is now a lot of writing behind me. These are, in a nutshell, all the intervals that we use up to an octave, the intervals that we use to explain all of those relationships that I just played with you there. And a lot of them go by different names, whatever, but yeah, they're really important for when you get into building scales and building chords and all that stuff. But all you really need to know, you just need to know the names and the sort of the distances between them and what each of them means. So we're going to start off with the simplest one. It's the one that's right there. Perfect unison. Notated as P1. Perfect unison. It's just it's the same note. B, C, and C are perfect unison because they're nothing apart. You know, you would think you would notate that as 0, but in music, it's 1. Don't ask me why. Someone arbitrarily made that decision a long time ago. But there's probably someone like Euclid or something. But we get going our minor second. It's our jaws, right? Major second. You notice minor and then major. Minor, major. A major interval is always a half step up from a minor interval. So like if I have, for example, my next two, my thirds that are over here, if I go, you know, my minor third, C and E flat, I just raise that second note up to C and E, and I have my major third. And then we get into some pretty cool stuff, which is this one guy over here, which I realize I should write the F. That is a 5. 5. Wrote that wrong. We get to these intervals here, which are the perfect intervals. So now you notice before that everything's been minor or major, and you have, you know, we have minor, major, minor, major. And it just goes up half steps. My perfect interval, if I go up a half step from my perfect interval, perfect fourth right now. If I go up a half step from that, it's an augmented fourth. Perfect fourth, augmented fourth. Perfect, augmented. Augmented just means raising, you know, the word augment means to make larger. You get breast augmentation, I don't know. But so, and if I get it go down, I'm this from. So if I had a scale that went like something like that, if my scale was like, then I would have a diminished fourth because I'm going from my perfect fourth and going down. As opposed to if I went down from, say, a major fourth, it would be minor. I'll explain what all those little names are in a little bit, but now I'm going to go on this one over here, the augmented fourth. Does that sound at all familiar? Because for my first video, I was talking about tritones a little bit, and tritone is exactly half of the octave. It's the most, well, it's not in my opinion, but a lot of people think it's the most dissonant thing you can have. It's the exact middle of the octave. And that has 2 names. You never want to call it a tritone when you're writing music. You always want to call it one of the things in the box to my right either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Because the fifth, again, we get our perfect fifth, you know, our power chord. Whatever, our power chord is again another perfect interval, so I can diminish, augment, but for now we're going to mostly talk about the perfect interval. It's the one that you're going to see most often in classical music. This one, these two, show up a lot in jazz, like if I'm doing something like something like that. I don't know, that was really bad. I was just messing around, but that's when that'll show up a lot. And then we get going down here, we have our sixths. So we have a fifth, and we're going to go major sixth, minor sixth. Notice minor sixth that this is the same as our augmented fifth. Same note, they're just notated differently, and when they're written, if they're written differently like that, they mean different things in like an analytical context, which is annoying. If you play jazz, use enharmonics, people don't give a damn about analysis. Well, I mean, they really do, but they don't. We have our minor sixth, our major sixth. Then we'll go to our minor seventh. There's a lot of argument about this particular interval. People think it's, you know, dissonant. I think it sounds pretty cool, mainly because when you're playing a blues or whatever, you have your this wouldn't really sound right with a major seventh. It would go. Which, I mean, does sound cool if you're maybe doing something like that. But if you're just using, you know, your pentatonics, you're going to need that minor seventh, which is why I personally think it's not really a dissonant interval. But going on to our last thing, which I again don't think is a dissonant interval, but sounds pretty dissonant, is our major seventh. Doesn't really sound that great by itself, but if we add, you know, some notes to it, if we maybe go, you know, it's still down there, but I've added these notes, and now it's a pretty nice chord right there. That's our C major 7 chord, actually. That's our one. That's our root chord if we're playing something in the key of C here. If I go like, yeah. And then there's one more interval that I haven't mentioned, which is the crazy one over here with the 2 flats. That's a double flat. If you ever want to double flat something which is crazy, you'd be like, okay, I have a B, B flat, B double flat, which is what's right there. You have to write those 2 flats. 2 sharps looks like an X. So like a double sharp is just an X, and it's awesome looking. I use it a lot. But so, and that really only comes up as diminished 7th if you're playing a fully diminished chord, which would be, you know, our, that was right. Our really dramatic chord. Oh no, something horrible has happened. And those are the names of all the intervals and what they sort of sound like. This really wasn't that great of a video, but next video we're going to get into scales, and yeah, we're going to get into scales and how to build scales using intervals, and it's going to be cool. Once again, comment about what you want me to do. Comment if you have different ideas about how I could explain this better, if you have different opinions about the dissonance of certain intervals or whatnot. I really want to hear from you guys. I love getting different opinions on theory, and so Please comment, leave comments, please subscribe, and yeah.